everyone. Today I'm going to talk about preparing and staining the support that you use to paint on. So that could be canvas boards, paper even. In my case, my preferred surface to paint on is this stuff, which is just a piece of hardboard. It's smooth on one side, rough on the other. I paint on the smooth side. I'm going to add some gesso to this, which gives the board a bit of tooth. The reason I like hardboard is because it's smooth enough to be able to take abrasive media. So you can use charcoal and pencil and other things, oil pastel even, on top of the painting, which is sort of important in my style. So that's what I like. However, if you want to stick to canvases or canvas boards, that's fine. You go ahead and stick with it. The technique I'm going to show you today works for all surfaces, so it doesn't matter really what you use. Once I've got my piece of board, I make sure it's clean and free of dust, and I use the smooth side and I prepare it with a couple of coats of white gesso. I use a stiff hog brush for this, or a house painter's brush, because the marks of the bristles make a sort of tooth that will hold the paint well. It gets rid of the complete smoothness of the board. And as I say before, it's good for drawing on using charcoal, oil pastels and so on. So here I'm just putting on a second coat of gesso. It's a little bit boring, so we'll just skip through this. Once the gesso's dry, I have to think about the kind of painting that I'm doing, whether it's a low-key thing or high-key, predominant tones, the palette I'll be using. I'll be talking about palette in a later video. So if I'm painting a summer scene with lots of sunlight, for instance, I don't want a very dark ground, so I might stain the surface with a yellow ochre or raw sienna or something like that. Normally you want something fairly neutral. If I'm doing a scene with a lot of low cloud, for example, I might choose a mid-brown or a mid-grey or a blue-grey, and I tend to stain a few boards at the same time and use different tones. So you can have a few prepared already, and you can choose one that's most suitable. So to stain the board, I mix up a fairly watery mixture of acrylic paint. This one's a mixture of, this is just yellow ochre. The previous one was a mixture of Prussian blue and burnt umber and a bit of white. So I add water until the paint's about the same consistency as single cream, and then I just slap the stuff on. Sometimes I use a rag to smooth the surface of the paint so they get a uniform tone across the whole surface of the board. And that's about it, really. So what's the purpose of this? Why can't you just paint straight onto the white gesso? Well, you can if you want to, but the problem is that the white ground will show through in between the colours on your painting, and by staining the board you're unifying the whole painting. If you have some of the stain showing through, that will give you a much more homogeneous painting. It blends the paint with the stained ground. So if you have a look at this painting, this is done on hardboard, but you can see the ground showing through there. It's a sort of burnt raw sienna type brown. But if you look at various parts of the painting, you can see that the ground is showing through, and that unifies the painting much more than it would do if you just had a white ground. Here's another one. This is a half-finished painting, but you can see the brown raw umber colour showing through, and I'll try and keep that as I work through this one. So I hope this video has been of use to you. Staining and painting grounds, it's a bit boring, and I think particularly for beginners it's something that tends to be overlooked. They can't wait to get down to the actual painting, and the staining of the board and the ground and everything can be a bit dull, but it can really help unify your paintings. And if you think carefully about the kind of colours and palette that you're using, the ground that you use can really help you produce a unified painting. So thanks for listening, and I hope you'll tune in next time for the next video. So if you like and subscribe as well, that'd be great. See you next time.